fortunate to have Tracy Hicks. He's with the Automobile Theft Department at HPD. Has 28 years tenure with the police department. He served 11 years in the Army, and he's been a helicopter pilot. And y'all may have come over here to this meeting today with something that you won't go home with. And he's going to tell you what that is.
Well, like I said, I'm Sergeant Hicks. I work in the auto theft division. I joined the department in '92 after getting out of the Army. And I kind of always wanted to do auto theft type crimes. And I've been in auto theft for about 15 years now, the last 6 in what we call the grant squad. When you pay your car insurance, if you look at the little itemized bill, you're going to see on there the MBCPA. It used to be called the ABTPA. It's the Motor Vehicle Crimes Prevention Authority. You pay $4 every time. Every single person in Texas pays $4. It's a little fee that you probably even notice you did it. It goes to Austin. They collect about $52 million for auto theft prevention. Do you know how much the Austin gives back to auto theft divisions throughout the state? 11 million. So they keep the rest. It used to be $1, and it was like 50 cents for them, 50 cents for us. And they said, well, how about we keep the $1 and you guys just don't get anything? And then they said, well, how about you raise it to $2 and we'll split $1? They said, okay, we'll do $2. You get 50 cents. We get $1.50. We're like, all right, well, at least we didn't lose our 50 cents. And then now it's up to $4. And they were like, hey, how about 2 and 2? They're like, no, how about 70 cents and $3.30 to us, which is kind of where it's at now. I know they're politicians, they find other, they're taxing people, and they're claiming that they're putting it towards, I don't know. That's Austin politics stuff. So it's always happened. But what happens is big cities apply for part of that grant. So we have the money's supposed to go where the demand is. So the city of Houston gets about $1 million. And what it does is they pay like up to 80% of our paychecks back to the city. And then our leased vehicles, we have all the spy gadgets, the tracking devices, and the cameras that look like street lights and stuff for chop shops and stuff like that. So that's kind of what our squad does. Now HPD we have about 70 officers assigned to auto theft. So, I mean, there's some police departments, they don't even have 70 people. We just have 70 people that just work auto theft type crimes. And those are after the patrolman takes the call. And then it gets, it prints out on a printer every single morning. And then there's actually 2 officers that go through the literally hundreds of reports that came in from the day before. And then they say, okay, this one, there was a license plate seen, there's a clue. So this goes to the lieutenant to be assigned out to an investigator. And then, oh, wow, this looks like somebody's reporting. Maybe there's a chop shop. Well, then it comes over to my side of the hallway. We have all the undercover officers. We have, the guys, all the plain clothes. When you see me at work, I'm usually dressed like a homeless guy. I used to have a long ponytail down to my back, and most of us don't shave. There's a lot of tattoos and stuff. We look like bums. Usually when we come, either us or Vice, when we come into 1200 Travis, we get stopped. Do you work here? What? And it's usually an auto theft investigator or a Vice guy. So that's us. Now, what a lot of people don't realize, what auto theft we also handle. People think, auto theft is cars, stealing cars. What auto theft handles here, we also handle what they call burglary of a motor vehicle, a BMV. When somebody breaks into your car and steals from it, auto theft handles that. We also handle what we call sliders. I'm going to kind of give you some stats and real quickly of sliders are the people that are targeting mostly women, SUVs getting gas at the gas station. They slide up beside you. They slide into your passenger seat, grab your purse and drive away. And you're still standing over there pumping gas. And we've seen it on the news. You might even know somebody it's happened to. The juggers, I know you've seen those stories because those things are just exploding. And I'm going to explain to you why. It's being followed. It used to be around the holidays, you know, you go in and buy a PlayStation for Junior and, you know, they follow you. You go to another store, they break in your trunk, they steal whatever, you know, Galleria gets hit every single day. You know, guy saves up all of his money in the world to go buy his wife a Louis Vuitton purse. And then, you know, you go somewhere else, they break in your car and they steal what you want. So the juggers, it used to be like mostly people doing bank transactions. If you're a business owner, you know, finding out what your schedule was as far as like, oh, well, every Friday at 4:30, I always go make a deposit. And then, you know, finding out those routines and actually targeting people. That's kind of where it originally originated. But juggers, you're hearing them all the time, people getting hit. You know, I just got some money for a business, and a lot of times it's the person in the bank, you know, there's a teller, you know, and she's texting her dude outside saying, hey, the guy with the blue jacket just walked out. He's got $15,000 on him. So, you know, that happens. But what I'm going to talk about today, I'll actually get to at the end is Catalytic converters. And we're going to talk to what they are, what they're doing and why. But auto thefts in general, the cool thing about auto theft, they're actually going down. We're still kind of on track. You know, normally it's up. There's only two things right now. There's two commanders in our police department that are literally in the chief's office every day. My commander, because auto theft type crimes are through the roof, mostly because of Catalytic converters, and then homicides. You've all been watching the news, you know, our homicide rate is through the roof. So I don't know how the commander of homicide, what are you doing to prevent homicides? Well, there's absolutely zero the commander of a homicide division can do to prevent a homicide. Now, auto theft, yes. Guess who does auto theft prevention? Me. I'm the one. So my commander that does this, yeah. So my commander loves me because I'm literally her ammunition when the chief says, what are you doing to bring the rate of auto theft type crimes down? Say, well, I got Sergeant Hicks out talking to every single Rotary club in the whole city. And I just had a meeting with A-Leaf School District. We're going to do a big event down there. So I go around town and talk to any group. So I have cards. If you guys belong to any other groups, other Rotary clubs, which I've heard some people moonlight on the side with other groups, or you know, retired teachers association, whatever other group you're in, I can come talk to you guys too. And if there's a lunch involved, I'm bumping everybody else off, and you get to go to the front of the line. Even if it's snacks, I'll come for snacks. I work really cheap. And I don't care if there's one person there or 500. I love doing it. The thing about auto thefts, they're never going away. Auto theft crimes, if you can imagine why people steal why they steal cars. Let's do a 50-50 split. 50% of the people steal cars, they're going to take it apart or sell it to make money. The other half of people that steal cars, steal a car because they're going to commit another crime. So because crime's never going away, you're never, ever going to get rid of auto theft. You're going to run down to the border and buy some drugs or, you know, and bring a load back. You're not going to do that in your car or truck. If you're going to go back a big truck through the front doors of a CVS, that's not your truck. We find those the next day. You know, you're going to go do a drive-by, you're going to go, you know, rob a stop and go. Those are all stolen cars, you know. And the reason why auto thefts are kind of down is these key fobs. Everybody's got a key fob now. Back 10 years, 15 years ago, there was a lot more of the cars. All I needed was a screwdriver and a pair of channel locks to steal a car. Now the key fobs. So the thieves, like I said, auto theft's not going away. So they have found out new ways to scam people. The dealerships are being ripped off. Oh, bad. You know, just back in the olden days, they'd steal your ID and they'd run your credit up. Now they steal your ID. They just go buy a car with it, with just your driver's license. There are dealerships that are that hungry, like, oh yeah, ID, yeah. Oh, it's a photocopy of your ID. Oh, no problem. You know, just go ahead and take the car for the weekend. We'll fill out the paperwork Monday. I'm not even joking. There are dealerships that will give these people a car with a photocopy of your ID. Some of them, well, they're learning. I mean, you know, 3-4 years ago, oh yeah, that's all they needed. But there are still some that will do it because the salesman, he's like, you know, all he sees is money and he wants his money. And so they don't care if a bank gets ripped off. They've already sold the car. So we actually have a sergeant and an officer they're assigned to, that's all they do. They just go out and they do the arrest of like, they call them, they actually have their number. Like, we got a guy in here right now. This isn't the guy whose ID is gonna be. And so they'll stall him, and then they'll actually send patrol units for that area. Then that sergeant and that officer actually drive from home or wherever they're at and actually go and we'll file the charges. Because these guys have done it several times. You've seen a couple stories lately in the news, maybe, I don't know. The guy that had been arrested recently, like he had bought like 8 and they're high-end cars. These guys that do that, I mean, they're buying Mercedes and Lexus and stuff. I mean, if you're gonna be a car ripoff guy, why not, steal? I'd rather steal a Jaguar, I guess. So overall, last year, 18,500 cars were stolen. You're like, well, that doesn't sound bad. I don't know. Some people might think that doesn't sound bad. And so we're like, holy cow, that's a lot of cars. We're average 35 to 40 cars a day in Houston. We got to go old school. People always ask me like, well, where's my car on the list? How far am I up on it? Chevy trucks. You got anything related to a Chevy truck? You need to do more than just what the factory alarm has. Trust me. Remember the key fob thing? You can't, a lot of people have push button, you put, you got your key fob, it's in your pocket. You don't have to take it out or in your purse. And all you got to do is push the brake and push the button. You can't jam a screwdriver into the button and start the car like the old cars. That key fob's got to be in the car. So here's the thing. The bad guys have figured out how to defeat that system in Chevys. The Chevy truck, the GMC truck, which is the same truck, the Tahoe, the Suburban, and the Cadillac Escalade, they're all the same underneath when you lift the hood up. They know how to defeat that key fob, and they can do it. Right. It used to, 5 years ago, it was the Ford F-250. I could park a Ford F-250 in front of the police station and be gone in 6 hours. It was that bad with the Ford F-250s. The reason they want the big trucks is they take them to the border. You cannot approach the border because of all the license plate readers. So they take them cross country. They snap through a fence. 20 miles, if you've ever been near the border, it's nothing but sticker bushes and rocks. So the 1/2-ton trucks won't make it through the desert, and the 3/4-ton trucks have heavy duty suspension on it. So they steal the F-250s because there was more of them and they were super easy to steal with a screwdriver. If you have an 08 or older F-250, my landscaper has an 08 F-350. And I tell him every day I see him, I said, you got a club on it yet? You got an alarm on it? You got a tracker on it? Because he literally has the #1 stolen vehicle ever in history is, F-250, F-350s. And it'll be gone, they'll find it by the border. They call us every day. Sheriff's Department around, hey, Farmer Brown found, this Dodge 3/4-ton truck in his field. Tell the complainant, come get it. We'll tow it to the, storage lot next, as close as we can get it. And then people call us and say, well, aren't you guys going to get it for me? I'm like, no, we're the police department. That's your insurance. Well, how? I can't get down there and get it. Yeah, we found it, we called you. This year, I have stats through July. We're at 9,800. So we're down. Every month's been down just a little bit as far as the auto thefts. Best bet with that, upgrade to your alarms, get an alarm. And I'm going to talk to you when I talk about Catalytic Converters about what type of alarms to get. We've become jaded with alarms. And so people are like, well, no one lit, I personally walk into the Walmart parking lot, 3 alarms. I don't even look, because we all hear them all the time. But your own alarm, and there are things you can do, upgraded alarms you can get that are actually going to help you out. Burglary motor vehicle, breaking in your car, stealing stuff. They changed this category a little bit. It used to be everything that was stolen, like wheels and tires, tailgates, Catalytic Converters were all counted as BMVs. Breaking in a car, stealing your cell phone, iPad, which you did not. You got your iPad with you, right? Is it all right? All right. I bet you somebody in this room right now has a laptop in their car. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. And tell me who's got a laptop in their car right now. Nobody. You do? You have a laptop? No, I don't care if it's you. Don't. Oh, well, it's hidden, so I'm not going to tell them. You have a laptop in the car, don't you? I do too, but mine's locked in one of those toolboxes in the back. It's city laptop. Last year, we average about 92 car break-ins a day. That's average. That's reported. How many people know somebody got their car broken into, or they just got into your car, they rifled through all your stuff, and they didn't really steal anything, and you didn't feel like waiting 5 hours for a police officer to show up? So you're like, what's the point? Yeah. So if you can imagine, that number is probably about 140 to 150 a day, every single day in Houston, Texas. 150 cars broken into. Yes, ma'am. The car break-ins, you're almost at ground zero for car break-ins right now. Where you're next door to ground zero. You're at ground one. Huh? Really, as far as car break-ins, Richmond Strip, the Loop, all the way in, like the Montrose area, Westheimer, where all those River Oaks area, where all those restaurants are, where a lot of people eat, a lot of shopping centers right there. That's ground. That's number one, and then it kind of moves this area here. Not so much the residential, but this. I don't want the owner to know, but this complex, but the I-10 corridor, when we let's say we don't have anything to do and my whole auto theft unit, we're just kind of bored one day. We're like, oh, what are you gonna do today? I-10 corridor. We start at the Loop and go all the way out to Beltway 8. And we mostly stay on this side of the road. So we sit in every single parking lot. One of us is in an undercover vehicle. This is so easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. One's here, one's at Lowe's at right down is it Bingo Lowe's, and then Home Depot, and then Best Buy, HEB, the Chinese market, and then all the way to Sam's Club, and mostly on this side of the road. So that what they do is they come and we look for cars that are just kind of circling or parking, pretending like he's on his phone, looking in a few cars. And I'm going to get to that, why that's not as prevalent as it used to be. But, a few years ago, I mean, we were out here once a week, and I mean, we would have somebody arrested within 2 or 3 hours. So what they do here is they do this side is car break-ins. The other side of the freeway is all the banks are on the other side of the road, and the restaurants and banks are on this side, and all the businesses are on this side. So depending on which crew is running around, they're sitting at the bank, the ATMs, and waiting for people to pull away. And then we follow them, following them. So if we do have a bank jugger, we don't let them rob the citizen. We send in usually an undercover officer, a female usually, goes in the bank, comes out, flaunts her little bag, sets it on the hood of the car, fumbles for her keys, throws the big bank bag into the car, and drives over here to Home Depot, parks quite a ways from the doors. And then she goes in, leaving the bank bag on the seat. He goes up. We leave the door unlocked, but they always break the window. I don't know why they do that. We always had to do. I'm like, why did you break the window? Because we got to pay. That comes out of our budget. The windows aren't free. So just so you know, like what felony dollar amount is a felony. You break into a car, it's a misdemeanor, guaranteed PR bond. You do over $3,500 worth of damage, it's a felony. Well, you're not going to do, there's no door for our window, maybe. But so the bank bag actually has real cash in it. Guess how much is in there? $3,500. I wish I had a prize here. You get a prize. So there's actually $3,500. So when she throws the bag in there, we actually have another bag, and it's bicycle locked to the seat. So when they smash the window, which I wish they would just try the door, they smash the window, they grab the bag and start, because the cable's kind of beside the seat, and they go. And by the third tug, there's about 5 guys that look like me going, hey, how are you? Well, it's not quite that nice. Our polite little, it's kind of a rude introduction. And so, yeah, we get the felony on them. And that's how we catch these guys that are following people from the banks. So that was a good question. You're right next door to ground zero. And this I-10 corridor. As far as car break-ins, the theft from a motor vehicle. Yes, ma'am. You mean where the mall, down at the mall, you mean? Yeah, I mean, the mall's not hit as bad. I mean, what I'm going to talk about with Catalytic Converters. Oh yeah, they hit the mall. They hit the mall, the Catalytic Converters. But any of the banks near the mall, yes. Dude, I tell my wife, I don't ever want you to use an ATM machine, ever again. It's not safe. It's if you need cash, you go to your bank, get some cash, or just get some cash back at the grocery store, do the thing, grab $80 cash out of at the Kroger or whatever. That's what I tell my wife to do. I said, you don't ever, even a drive-through, because they're sitting there, they're watching, and they're looking for females. I mean, number one, a female with a kid. Yeah, they just follow you off. And you go, let's say you're going to go shopping, you're going to go get some cash. You go get some cash. I'm going to play the scenario out for most females, men probably too, is you go to Walmart, you've just been to the bank, you go to Walmart, you sit there in the car, you grab your phone and your purse and you touch up your stuff. And I don't know what you girls do with it, but the car's still running, you know, so you grab your purse, you return a text message, you laugh at an emoji or something. I don't know what you do. And then you put your phone in the purse and then you turn the car off. And when you open the door, you hit him right in the thigh. He's standing right there because the time it took you to do all that, he got out of his car and he's standing right there and you go, boom, he goes, give me that money. You're like, what? Yeah, he followed you from the bank. Give me the money right now. Now, if you have your kids with you, are you going to be brave and like, oh, try to pull your gun out of your purse? No. Your kids are in the back seat. It's like, here, take, I mean, me too. I mean, I do the exact same thing. I mean, I have a gun on me, but if my kids are with me, it's like, you know, that's why they're looking for elderly. They target people that aren't going to fight them back. Yes, sir.
Is it organized group or is it?
Those guys usually run, there's usually two in the car. When you go to a bank and you happen to go in your bank and you see, you know, a car with super dark tinted windows and you can't see it at all and it's still running. Yeah, that's what they do. They don't sit there very long. They don't sit there all day and wait because they know either security in the bank or the cameras in the bank see them. They pull up and they don't get out of the car, you know, or there's 4 guys in the car. That's, you know, then that camera zooms in on them and waits. And see, when I'm watching them, I'm parked and I'm watching who's going to the teller too. And I see a woman carrying a baby or a toddler. I'm like, okay, everybody get ready. You know, all the officers are kind of in the area. We're like, hey, he's going to follow this one. I know he is.
So maybe a simple question. If in the event it happened and I did pull out my gun and shoot them, am I at fault?
No.
Murder?
No. But hopefully that wouldn't happen.
Right.
It's something you got to live with, you know.
It's just people first react.
What's that?
Oh,
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah, but a lot of people ask me about that. It's people thought the world was going to end when we had when people were allowed to wear their gun on the outside. Remember that? Everybody, oh my God, it's going to be like Wild Wild West, and you're going to have guys walking with spurs, walking through Kroger with their guns. I saw a couple. You're an idiot if you carry your gun on the outside, because if a bad guy comes into a place to rob it and he sees a guy with a gun on his hip, who's he going to shoot first? In the back. Right. Or he's just crazy and he goes, oh, look, there's a gun. He's going to take your gun and shoot you with your own gun. That's just dumb. But when people ask me like, well, what about this whole, you don't have to go through this class anymore. The same people who are not allowed to have guns now are the same people who are not allowed to have a gun after September 1st. My wife, for example, went through the class. But a friend of mine taught the class. She went on a Saturday with her other girlfriend and they went into the class. Well, she never went and did her fingerprint thing. So the class she went to expired. Well, as of September 1st, she doesn't have to go to the class. She can just carry it. So, I mean, that right there is a scenario where somebody, I mean, yeah, you can still go to the class. I teach you how to work your gun. You know, if you don't know how to work a gun, or if you're afraid of them, don't go get a gun on September 2nd. That's just dumb. We don't talk about guns. I never owned a gun before I was a police officer. People always assume that, you know, cops are like gun freaks. I never even owned a gun before, but now I have to have one. So, I mean, I have 3. I literally have 3 guns. Michigan.
Yeah.
Do I talk funny? I've been here since 1990. I've been here 31 years. Well, you see, when I came into Texas, I had to stop at the border. They gave me a gun and boots. All right. When I got I-10 coming in from Louisiana, they said, hey, in Michigan, pull over here. Here's your boots. What size do you need? Here's the gun. I'm like, a gun? What do I do with this? Just, you'll know when the time is right. They didn't have any hats. I've been here 31 years. I do not own a cowboy hat. I'm sorry, people. I don't. Juggings, what I was talking about, following the people. Last year, 790. This year, 405. The numbers are going up a little because of the reporting is a little better. Because when I was in patrol a million years ago, when somebody said, hey, my car was broken into, I was at this parking lot and, you know, they stole my laptop or they stole this out of my car. Like, okay, well, what time did you park? What time did you come back? And what was stolen? Here's your case number. And I would go write my report back to the station. Now we're training officers to say, where were you before you got here? Because, and then we add those all up. Everything's computerized now. So now it's important. So if your car is ever broken into, or your family or friends, you know, somebody's, make sure they tell the officer, I was here. I was at this restaurant. I was at Saltgrass at 59 and this, because guess what? If 4 or 5 people say I was here, and no matter where they went, well, guess where our undercover officers are going to be? They're going to be sitting, waiting in there to see who's getting followed out. So so those numbers are going to go up, the juggings, because we're teaching the cadets and officers like, hey, dude, always ask, where were you before this? Because that's important. Because you don't know you were jugged, you just thought you were broken into randomly. You know, when you got a gigantic parking lot and somebody broke into your trunk and stole your laptop, it's like, why did they know to get, you know, and you ask them and say, oh, I was at such and such restaurant and I had taken my laptop in there because I was in a business meeting. I brought it out. I put it in my trunk. And like, how did they pick your trunk out of all these cars? Because they were at that restaurant. So sliders, 461 last year, down a little bit. April, we kind of went crazy, but other than that, down every month. We're 243 halfway through the year. So we're not doing too bad. Now, theft from a motor vehicle, that's the big one because they just created that category. So like I told you, like the theft, like the wheels and tires, tailgates, and Catalytic converters, those are the big 3. If it's stolen from a car, the reason they created that so we can count it, because if the chief wants to know, well, how many wheels and tires were stolen last year? Well, we have to sort through 40,000 BMV reports to find them instead of, you know, just the theft from motor vehicles. So we can kind of figure out what the crime trends are. There's cars, stuff being stolen from the Catalytic converters. I've done 100 of these, and I've been on local news. I was on Inside Edition. You know the Inside Edition show? They came and rode with me for 2 days about 2 months ago. I had a mic and a camera and 2 10-hour days. They rode around. We went and talked to a lot of victims of how it affected them personally. And I was on TV for about 40 seconds of 2 days of filming. So that was fun. I was supposed to be on Good Morning America this morning, but I got bumped by something apparently is going overseas. I don't know. It's something bad is happening. So I got bumped. I'll probably be next week. But this is a national thing. This Catalytic converter theft it's through the roof. That's what I'm going to tell you right now. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Hold on to your table. This is going to be shocking. What is a Catalytic converter? Every car since the mid-70s has a Catalytic converter. Your Catalytic converter is not required for your car to run. It does nothing to help your car run any better. What it does is it cleans the exhaust before it comes out the tailpipe. Not completely, but it does quite a bit. When your engine has an exhaust manifold, it points the exhaust down to under the car. When it turns underneath the car, the very first thing it hits is your Catalytic converter. What Catalytic converter? It looks like a little tiny muffler. Some cars have one, all of them have 1, some have 2, some have 3, some have 4. Depending on the car, if you have dual exhaust, sometimes they each have 1 on each side. Sometimes they have 2 on each side. It goes through one little piece of pipe and then goes through another one. So there's 4 on some vehicles. What's inside of a Catalytic converter are these honeycomb wafers, and they're ceramic coated honeycomb wafers. And there's a whole bunch. If you held one up, all you would see is tiny little honeycombs, and you'd barely be able to see through it. These are dipped through an acid bath that have 3 precious metals in them. They have platinum, everybody's heard of that, palladium, and rhodium. Rhodium right now is $28,000 an ounce. Gold is about $1,600 an ounce. Rhodium is $28,000 an ounce. Palladium's about $17,000 an ounce. I don't know about platinum. Nobody cares about that one. So, but then there's minuscule amounts, coating, microscopic amounts on these ceramic plates. When your exhaust carbon monoxide comes through there, it has a chemical reaction with these metals and it turns into carbon dioxide, which is not toxic, and it comes out your tailpipe. So it, reduces the pollution in the air. Well, what has happened over the last few years, until about 3 years ago, China didn't have catalytic converters on their cars. They just they're the government. They didn't care, but their smog got really bad. So they said, you know what, maybe we should put catalytic converters on our cars. So if you can imagine how many cars are in China, and all the car manufacturers in China all at one day decided, oh, catalytic converters for everybody. So the demand for that metal went through the roof. COVID shut down half the mines. This rhodium is apparently only mined in South Africa. So the place it grows. Well, so with COVID, the supply went to half. The demand doubled over the last 3 years. So what they do is they take the old ones, they can reverse process them, get the metals out of them, and then build new catalytic converters. The only people that use these metals are mostly, like 80% of these metals in the whole world are used by car manufacturers. Every single car in the entire world has these metals in their catalytic converters. Now, some of them have a little, some have a lot, some catalytic converters. So what's happened is a thief cuts it off, battery powered saw, it's gone. It's takes 30 seconds. You can take the metal recycler. You know the guy that pays you $2 bills for your soda cans? That guy, I'm not joking, that actual guy and his buddies, the 25 buddies that do the same thing he does all around town, those guys used to buy copper from the crackheads who steal it out of your air conditioner units. Now they're just stealing, they buying stolen catalytic converters. Some of the catalytic converters are worth $20. We have some of them that are worth about $1,500 a piece used. $1,500 for one catalytic converter, depending on which one. So there's 400 or 500 models. There's no numbers on these. It's not assigned to your car. It doesn't have your VIN number on it. There's nothing that marks it. There's a number on it. That number just tells you what model catalytic converter this is. So what they do, they look on their chart and they say, oh, this one's worth $100. Okay, well, I have 4 of them right here. $400. There you go, cash. You could bring in, you could. No, well, you have to show your ID. They don't care. I mean, it's not illegal to own a catalytic converter. I took it off my own car. Or I had a junk car in my backyard. My grandpa had a truck that ain't been running in 15 years. I cut the cats off. I needed some money. So it's not illegal what they're doing. That's the hard part. That's why it's hard to stop this, because it's not illegal. If I got a bum walking down the street with a grocery cart and he's got 5 catalytic converters in it, and I stop, hey, where'd you get those? I found them. Okay, have a nice day, sir. I mean, I can't prove he stole them. They could have fresh cut. They're completely rusty, and where the cut is, it's completely shiny metal, like they're brand new cut. They were cut an hour ago. I can't prove, unless I can find the car that he took them off of, and the owner of that car, I can't do anything to them. So it's completely legit. Now, average, these catalytic converters are worth about $150 to $250. That's average catalytic converters that they bring in. Like I said, there's some worth $800, there's some worth $1,000, there's some worth $1,500. Now, the cars that are being targeted, if anybody has these particular cars, these are the ones that it's not a matter of if, it's when you're going to get hit. The vehicle, my personal vehicle, I have a Toyota Tundra, #1 targeted vehicle. So let's get out your thinking caps. Some of you might need to write this down or get out a calculator. Remember, I told you some of the catalytic converters are worth, $100 and some are worth $1,500. Guess which ones the Toyota Tundra have? They're $1,500. Guess how much? Remember, I told you some cars have 1, some have 4. Guess how many catalytic converters a Toyota Tundra has? 4. So 4 times $1,500. Do you understand why the Toyota Tundra is the #1 targeted vehicle? So if you have a Tundra, I have a Tundra. So yeah, I'm just waiting for mine to disappear. I have an old Tundra, which hopefully is saving me right now. The newer they are, obviously. But what they'll do is they'll steal mine, and then in about 2 months, they'll come back and steal my brand new ones. Because they know that, especially if they know where you live, they know where you work, your vehicle's always there.
So I work for North Nelson Living, and our buses have
Oh,
been
yeah.
targets for months. I support 6 of our 18 communities, every single one of our communities.
Because they're just parked there all night.
They're parked there all night, and then they will replace it 2 days later, it's gone again.
Well, yeah, because if you're an easy target. Easy. The other vehicles, I know I'm not even joking. I told them, I said, I could talk all day. If y'all want to stay here, I'll be here as long as you want, but I know some of you need to go. I'm gonna. The Toyota, the Tundra, number one, it ties with, and not so much here in Texas, because we all love trucks, the Toyota Prius. I've been to a lot of meetings and people always, some little old lady will raise her hand and they'll say, because they always want to know where their car is in the top 10. And she says, I have a Toyota Prius. I'm like, no. She goes, what do you mean? No. I said, no one's ever going to steal your car. No one's ever stolen a Prius. You know why? She goes, why? Because nobody wants one ever. I mean, nobody wants a Prius, but apparently everybody in California drives one. So California is being hammered because remember the price thing, $1,000 a piece. Toyota Priuses have 3,000, right there, $3,000 in like 3 or 4 minutes, tax free, easy money. So the Toyota Prius, the Tundra, they swap back and forth are number one. In Texas, it's probably going to be the Tundra because there's just more of them. Unless we got a lot of California transplants, they bring the Priuses with them, I think. The Toyota Tacoma, the smaller Tundra, the Tacoma only has 2, but they're the high dollar $1,000 ones. The Forerunner, which is actually a Tacoma, it's just on a different body. The Sequoia, which is actually a Tundra, the Sequoia is a Tundra underneath, so it has 4. Right, they have more of the metals in their cats is why they're just more eco-friendly. The Honda CRV, they're very popular. So a lot of you, I guarantee somebody's got one of those. The Honda Element is in there. And then after all of those, we switched to the bigger trucks. Like she was talking about the buses, the 3/4 ton Ford, Chevy, Dodge, the 1 tons, the U-Haul, Ryder, Penske, they get hammered. You know where their trucks are parked all night? Right by the road. And they're all in a line and they sit this high off the ground. I barely have to bend over to get under there and cut their cats off. Their cats are huge. That's why the bigger vehicles have bigger cats. They're worthwhile. And a lot of those like yours, they're just parked at night. They know nobody's out there at night. And they just go, and they're easy because they're easy. They don't even have to crawl under them. The Priuses, they don't hit as many, even the ones that are here, they do get hit because you got to bring a jack. So they got to have a floor jack and you got to have the jack guy and the guy underneath there. With a Tundra, I can just roll under there myself. And it's so fast and easy. Now you think auto theft crimes, when most people envision auto theft crimes, you're thinking nighttime, people, at night people are breaking in your cars. With these are more likely going to be stolen right now at lunchtime because you're parked when you're parked out in the parking lot out by the road out there. Can you envision what a battery powered saw sounds like if it hits an exhaust pipe? If I'm parked out by the road out here at lunchtime, is that noise? That's road noise. You don't even hear it. And so they know that. And so they're at Chili's and Buffalo Wild Wings and everything right out by the road. They're targeting you guys are staying. I know.
I mean,
when he gets behind you, that's what you said. When he gets behind you, it's time.
No,
she knows. I know. I'm ready to go.
No, you go. Go ahead.
All right, I'll skip to the prevention. So you got one of these vehicles. The betting thing we're telling people to do, and we're actually trying to set up some events. If you know anybody that's got a lift, like a Jiffy Lube or a muffler shop, and want to, open your shop up, or lift people up, and people in your community or whatever can come in. We're going to etch the last 8 numbers of your VIN number or your license plate number. The VIN's better because your place you can switch. Etch it on there with an engraving tool, and then we're going to spray paint it with a high temperature paint. What this is going to do is when the bad guys sell them to the scrapyard, we go to a scrapyard and we see a big pile of cats. Oh, look at that yellow one. I'm going to pull that yellow one out and I'm going to look at it. It's got a number on it. I'm going to run the numbers. Oh, this one's stolen. I'm keeping this one, taking it property. I'm going to find the owner. Well, that metal recycler just paid $1,000 to a guy. You think he's getting that $1,000 back? No, he just lost $1,000 because I took it from his stolen property. Guess what? The next guy comes in with a yellow one. Dude, take that somewhere else. I am not taking any painted ones because the police are going to come and get those ones. So the more people we can get to etch them, paint them is good. The third thing, which is much better, there's a couple things you can do for number 3. Go online, put in Catalytic Converter prevention. There's a lot of products that they make cages, wire cages that go around them, like bicycle lock cages. There's a lot of different, and then there's also these plates you can just basically bolt to the bottom of your car. If you have a truck, and for your bus people to let them know, there's actually businesses out there that will weld a rebar cage around it. I mean, because imagine I don't know how much it costs. Did you know how much it was? I mean, it's thousands. A Tundra, by the way, to repair my Tundra, if all 4 cats are gone, the repair bill's around $10,000. And there's a backlog, so it's going to take me about 3 months to get my truck out of the shop. A Prius starts at about 3,500, goes to about 7,000. Tundra start at about 8,000, go to about 10,500, depending, because when they cut, they don't gingerly, just take that. They're hitting brake lines, fuel. The Tacomas, if you have a Tacoma, they always hit the fuel lines, because somewhere around the fuel line is somewhere where that's at. I don't know why, but the Tacomas, they always hit a fuel line, which, you're not driving anywhere on that. So go to a 4-wheel drive part. If you have a truck, we got a truck, go to a 4-wheel drive parts place and say, hey, do you make a skid plate for this truck? All trucks have skid plates. For the guys that do 4-wheel driving on the rocks, they bolt them to the bottom of the truck so the rocks won't hit the exhaust and tear it off. So it's to bolt it up there, you can either rivet it or put one-way screws, that can only be a certain wrench, you just take them out. Once you etch it and you paint it and you've got it covered up, guess what? They're gonna go, oh, not that one. I'm gonna go steal this one. That's the whole idea, is prevention. Harden our targets. And that goes for all auto theft things. Everything you can do to make it's really horrible to say this, make it happen to the guy who's parked next to you. It's terrible to say that, but you know what? We got to take care of our own. And if everybody does that, these crooks are like, you know what? If I'm not making any money, I might actually have to go get a job. And did you guys had how many were here when was Andy Kahn here? Was it last week? Yeah. So you guys understand that remember how he probably, I don't want to meet the guy, but I read what he writes. He's very vocal about the whole PR bond thing, and like everybody's out on bond about these murder. Okay. So we were there and you heard him. For a fact that people that kill people and rob people get bonds, right? What do you think they do with the people who steal stuff? Nothing. You get zero for that. You can have as many bonds as you want. So if you imagine they're letting murderers back out on the street, people who steal cars and Catalytic Converters, there's no consequences for them. So harden our targets. Cool?
All right.